we were just talking about how Twitter is allowing people like Lindsey Graham, but also everyone now, to call for violence against Russians. Take a look at this story over here, this breaking news story. This is from Reuters. Facebook temporarily allows posts on Ukraine war calling for violence against invading Russians or Putin's death. It's not a joke. So down here they say Meta platforms, so Facebook and Instagram, will allow users in some countries to call for violence against Russians and Russian soldiers in the context of the Ukraine invasion, according to internal emails seen by Reuters on Thursday, in a temporary change to its hate speech policy. The social media company is also temporarily allowing some posts that call for death to Russian President Vladimir Putin or Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko in countries including Russia, Ukraine, and Poland, according to internal emails. Quote, as a result of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we have temporarily made allowances for forms of political expression that would normally violate our rules, like violent speech, such as death to the Russian invaders. We still won't allow credible calls for violence against Russian civilians, a Meta spokesperson said in a statement. The calls for the leader's death, so meaning Putin or Lukashenko, will be allowed unless they contain other targets or have two indicators of credibility, such as the location or method, one email said. And the temporary policy changes on calls for violence to Russian soldiers apply to Armenia, Azerbaijan, Estonia, Georgia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania, Russia, Slovakia, and Ukraine. So basically, the Soviet satellite states. In the email recently sent to moderators, Meta highlighted a change in its hate speech policy pertaining both to Russian soldiers and to Russians in the context of invasion. All right. So we are issuing a spirit of the policy allowance to allow violent speech that would otherwise be removed when targeting Russian soldiers, except POWs, targeting Russians when it's clear that that's the context is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And we are doing this because we've observed that in specific context, Russian soldiers is being used as a proxy for the Russian military. The hate speech policy continues to prohibit attacks on Russians. So again, last week, Russia said it was banning Facebook in the country in response to what it said were restrictions of access to Russian media on the platform, right? So Twitter as well. There's less access there. Many major social media companies have announced new content restrictions around the conflict, including blocking Russian state media, RT, and Sputnik in Europe, right? Now, here's the best part. Look at this. Emails also showed that Meta would allow praise of the right-wing Azov battalion, which is normally prohibited, in a change first reported by The Intercept. Wow. Meta spokesperson Osborne previously said the company was, for the time being, making a narrow exception for praise of the Azov regiment, strictly in the context of defending Ukraine or in their role as part of the Ukraine National Guard. So basically, let me get this straight. They're saying that on Facebook and Instagram, you can call for the Russian president and Russian soldiers to be murdered, and you can praise neo-Nazis like the Azov Battalion, which they conveniently call far right. Now, they're not just any far right. They're neo-Nazis. They wear the Wolfsangel, the Schwarze Sonne, the Black Sun, and all these symbols that have been used by Nazis in World War II and now by neo-Nazis. So you can praise fucking neo-Nazis on social media, but you're not allowed to watch RT because that's poison. RT is poison. It's state media. It's propaganda. But praising neo-Nazis, go ahead. Go ahead. Because that's who the West is partying with. That's whose side they're on. NATO, Al-Qaeda, and neo-Nazis. What a match made in hell. Talk about an unholy alliance. They're not even hiding it anymore. Look at the shit. Have they gone fucking insane? They're letting you go and celebrate neo-Nazis and say, oh, it's in the context of the war. What the fuck does that mean? They're always in the Ukrainian National Guard. That's the whole issue, that they've been incorporated and integrated into the armed forces. What difference does it make? Are you serious? Wow. Wow. Mask off again. Mask off. This is what the West is supporting. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. Wow, I love that they're showing their true colors, because we knew that this was the case implicitly, but now it's explicit. Yes, go and praise neo-Nazis, no problem. And fuck the Russians, and RT is banned because that's poison, but this is okay. Wow, what do you guys think of that, huh? What do you guys think of this development? Sounds pretty messed up, doesn't it? Sounds pretty weird, doesn't it? This is insanity. This is insanity. I mean, could you imagine if people went on Twitter and were saying death to the American invaders? You would be put on a watch list, right? Even though the Americans have they've invaded Iraq, they're still occupying it. I don't care what they call them. They call them advisors. They're still U.S. troops. They were in Afghanistan. Do you think people were allowed to say death to the American invaders on Twitter? You would be put on a watch list and the police would come pay you a visit. That's what would happen. You think you could say death to Trump, death to Biden, and they wouldn't ban you or take down your post or put you on a list? Are you sure? You're really sure? I can tell you that's not the case, and you know it's not the case. Once again, double standard, right? Oh, they're just Russians. Yeah, they might be kind of white, but they're not westernized like us, so they're inferior. It's okay to call for their murder, and here on Facebook and Instagram say, "Oh, it's just Russian soldiers," right? As if they're going to make a distinction between that. Amazing, and of course over there on Twitter, there's just free. It's a free for all. Just go ahead and say whatever you want. There's no distinction. Unbelievable. This is the world that we're living in. Invasion, it's okay, but if NATO does it, and making death threats, calling for someone to be killed, that's okay against Russians, but not NATO. It's wonderful. Praising neo-Nazis now. Wow. I'm speechless. I'm honestly speechless. I don't even know what to say anymore. This is what this Russophobia does. This is what this jingoism does. It's bringing Western society to a point of no return. This is a very, very slippery slope. This basically, condoning just open racism and Russophobia and xenophobia and treating Russian culture. It's not just Putin, it's Russian culture, Russian citizens, Russian composers, Russian everything as inferior and blackballing it and treating Russians like garbage. I mean, what is that? Is this what the West is, what it calls democracy and human rights? And, they talk about defending democracy in Ukraine, and they act like they have the moral high ground and, international law is on their side. Please tell me how this fits into that framework, because this looks a lot like, you're condoning neo-Nazis just for the sake of attacking the Russians. Like, that's the level you stoop to. You're on the same side as Al-Qaeda. You're on the same side as the neo-Nazis. Like, this is the bunch here. That's what it takes. That's what you're stooping to, all for the sake of fighting the Russians. That's really it. You think this is normal, that this is good behavior. What values are these? What sorts of values are you communicating here? I really want to know. If this is not extremism, I don't know what is. This is a form of extremism, what you're seeing here. This is, it's gone ballistic, no pun intended. Again, Russians, how many people did they lose fighting the Nazis? 20 to 30 million. It's so, I don't even know if we'll ever have the true number. Definitely above 20 million. Most of them civilians. Yeah, more than any other country. I mean, this is just insulting, honestly. Like, this is provocation. Honestly, it pales compared to the acts of financing and funding the actual neo-Nazi militias, because that is really, you're really just kind of coming here and telling us, you're giving us the impression by condoning the praise of neo-Nazis that Putin might be right. That's what I'm seeing here, because people say, well, Putin's crazy and there aren't so many neo-Nazis and it's not a big deal, and you're coming here and telling me that no, they're on our side and it's okay to praise them because screw Russia. That's the impression that I'm being given here. And the fact that when you see the BBC talk about people in Ukraine, these militias, and that old little nice babushka being taught to fire a Kalashnikov with the guy, with his Wolfsangel, this neo-Nazi symbol on his patch, and you don't say anything, just casually like, yeah, look at this casual neo-Nazi on the screen, but we're not going to say he's a neo-Nazi. What the hell is that? It's so subliminal, But it's weird because it's very implicit, but at the same time, very explicit. Because they either don't mention it, they just normalize, like, yeah, this is Ukraine National Guard, that's it. And then other times they're like, yep, it's okay to praise neo-Nazis, go ahead. Wow. Michael says, give it a few days and they will be called moderate Nazis. Ha! Yeah. Oh man, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, really. They talk about freedom of speech and all this stuff, and then look what they did to RT. They completely banned RT, saying that apparently that's what you do now. That these are liberal values, right? Censorship, no, intolerance of dissent, intolerance of opposing views, intolerance of any divergence from liberal orthodoxy, and then at the same time, free speech is okay to call for Russians to be killed. To call for the Russian president to be killed, to praise neo-Nazis, that free speech is okay. But, RT operating as a news outlet, that's not okay. No free speech for them. But free speech for Nazi sympathizers, that's okay. Wow. I mean, I'm going to lose my mind here. This must be a joke. This must be a parody, honestly. I mean, because we knew it's there. It's very implicit. But here it's just like, here you go. Here's the menu, sir. What shade of neo-Nazi would you like? Interesting, right? Once again, the double standards is free speech. It's okay. Support the Ukrainians, call for Russians to be killed and the invaders to be killed and Putin and all these people. It's fine. Cheer them on. And the neo-Nazis too. Totally fine. But, if you start talking about NATO expansion and you're a Kremlin sympathizer, we're going to come for you. We're going to come for you. They took down a very big Twitter account, ASB Military, for posting about the war. They just took that account down. Yep, they just banned it. They just suspended it. Unbelievable. This was quite a good account in terms of updates, and they took it down just now. So again, I guess they should have cheered more for some neo-Nazis. Maybe then they could have kept the account, huh? Wow. Mask off. Mask off. This is such a revealing moment. Everything that's happening day by day. It's so it's so telling, honestly. They've blown the roof off.